Hello, welcome back to Beauty Bee and to a video on all of the items that are going to sink my budget in the year 2021. Now, if you're not aware, I am on a beauty budget for this year as well as the last couple months of last year. It is $15 a month, which does not go very far in the makeup world. However, I don't need it to go very far. Realistically, I have what I need. Everything else is just extra. So to make those $15 count, I want to put them towards a few bigger purchases as well as just a few little things sprinkled here and there. And the things that are in this list, these seven categories, are the things that it's easy to spend a little bit of money often on. I will absolutely buy some of these over the course of the year. If my budget was the Titanic, there are 16 potentially watertight compartments, and up to 4 of them could have flooded and the Titanic would have been okay. Here, I can flood a couple of these compartments and my budget will still float along. Splurge in too many of these categories though, and my budget sinks and ends up at the bottom of the ocean for the next 84 years. 83 years? So let's just get into the list. And number 1 is nail polish. Now these are dangerous because A, they're the first thing that I see when I walk into my Target, which was excellent store planning on their part and awful for me. They're just such an easy thing for me to mentally justify. They're not very expensive at all. You know, $3, $4. The brands that I usually buy tend to be somewhere in that range. That doesn't seem too bad. I mean, of course it adds up over time, but at once, $3 doesn't seem so bad. And I can always find things that are different from what I already have. Like when I look at a lipstick, realistically, there's only so many colors of lipstick that I will actually wear. Oh, am I gonna get a pink, a pinky nude, a nude, or a red? And that's about it. I mean, there's some variation in tone, there can be some variation in depth, etc., but my options for my day-to-day life are pretty limited. But with nail polish, you know, the sky's the limit. There's an entire rainbow of colors. I'm willing to wear most of them. And I definitely have enough nail polish. I have enough of everything on this list. But they're tempting. And if I'm not careful, they could be a problem. Category number 2 consists of a couple different kinds of lip products that I really enjoy. And these are very, very specific. Number 1, the Revlon Super Lustrous Lipsticks, which are $4.50 at my Target, and they just come in such a huge variety of colors. I think the formula is really nice. I think I own 4 of them right now, and I just adore them. So those could be a problem. The Maybelline Creamy Mattes are quite similar. They're a tad more expensive. They're more in the $5 to $6 range, but I love those as well. I prefer the Revlon lipsticks for their satin formula. The Maybelline Creamy Mattes are this really, yeah, I think a creamy matte formula makes sense. They're not super dry, but they are sort of thick and very full color. They're not uncomfortable though. And I like those so much that I've panned 2 of them in the past. And I am well on my way to finishing off a 3rd. So great formula. The 3rd formula are the NYX Butter Glosses. I am sure you can find a million different YouTube videos extolling the virtues of these NYX Butter Glosses. To keep it short, they're really comfortable, they smell nice, and they're really a lovely level of pigmentation. There's enough there that it feels worthwhile to have more than one. You know, with some lip glosses, I think you could have, it's perfectly clear, or oh, it's a half a step away from clear, and that's the entire line. These really do differ shade to shade, and I obviously really enjoy them. And while these 3 formulas are not particularly expensive, I mean, $4.50 to $6-ish for a lip product is definitely less expensive than most brands. I mean, 3 of those would add up to an entire monthly budget, and it's on something that, quite frankly, I just don't need any more of. I feel like these next two items are really the same thing, so I'm just going to talk about them at the same time. And that is pretty much everything on the e.l.f. and Wet n Wild sites. These are dangerous because the free shipping threshold is so low. It is set at $15, which is a familiar number to us by now. So it's easy for me to say, oh, I'm going to place an order this month. It'll be, right around that $15, $16 mark. It'll be free shipping. Great. Rather than, why don't I spend nothing this month and then I can save up and get something that I really, really want off of Sephora or Ulta that has a little bit of a higher price tag. And $15 goes a lot further at Wet n Wild and e.l.f. than it does most places. I mean, the last Wet n Wild order I placed, I think turned out to about $15, $50 or $16, and I got a 4-pan highlighting palette, a nail polish, and a liquid liner. And even with the other drugstore brands, you can't usually get deals like that. I mean, any one of those items could very well have been $15 from Physicians Formula or even more from, say, Pixie. So if there are specific items that I think will get me at Wet n Wild, I think they will probably be the Mega Glow highlighting palette. Yes, I was just talking about buying one of them, but I will insert a picture. They have one that is more colorful, and it is $10, which I know I don't need it, but it does look very fun. I'm also quite interested in the Pearlescent Pink Blush from Wet n Wild. I know they've had this for ages, and I really kind of want to try NARS Orgasm this year. However, I have heard for years and years, probably at least 5 or 6 years at this point, that Pearlescent Pink is a really good dupe, and in some people's opinion, actually a hair better than NARS Orgasm is. So I think that it would make sense maybe to try this for $3, use it up, see if I enjoy it, and once that's gone, I can either decide, yeah, NARS Orgasm seems very likely to work out for me, or no, it doesn't, and we can just get rid of that curiosity completely. e.l.f.'s the other one that may give me problems. And with e.l.f., I think what will probably get me is, first of all, their bite-sized face duos. I really want that one in Cantaloupe. That looks so unusual, but so pretty, and I think it would really be a peach blush that I could get along with quite well. I think that that really light peach would work really well on my skin tone. e.l.f. also has come out with this huge variety of lip products in the past year or two that I haven't tried and am curious about. They've got those Ride or Die balms, the sheer slick lipsticks, the hydrating core lipsticks, the Seriously Satins. They've just come out with a lot of stuff over the past couple of years, and it is overwhelming, at least for me personally. But I'm also curious about quite a bit of it, and I think the tricky thing with e.l.f. is that I still think of it as being very, very cheap, but a lot of the newer things they're coming out with aren't anymore. I mean, some of those lipsticks that I just talked about are $3, but some of them are more like $6, and I think that they have some that are even a little bit more expensive now. And that's really no cheaper than, the Maybelline and Revlon and what was the other one? NYX, things that I was talking about earlier. e.l.f. has definitely been working their way up in price over the years, and while I still think they're generally a pretty good deal for what you're getting, I need to divorce them from this idea of extreme budget makeup in my mind. Okay, finally moving on. Number 4, unique form eyeshadows is how I have this written down in my notes. And by that, I mean cream eyeshadows, shadow sticks, liquid eyeshadows, those sort of interesting things that tend to come as singles. Now, they're one shade, and they tend to be $5 plus even at the drugstore, and I'm just not sure that $5 plus is what I want to spend for a single shade. But these are one of those things that I can convince myself are so different. You know, I'll do a one shadow look with this shadow stick and it'll be super easy. Well, what's stopping me from doing a one shadow look with the colors I already have? Is there anything in particular about this cream shadow in a pot that is going to be easier to make these one shadow looks than the powder shadows that I already own? No, probably not, but they do feel very enticing still, and I need to keep that in mind when I go to the drugstore. Number 5 is mini sets. These are the inexpensive seeming little sets that you'll get at Ulta and Sephora in particular, where you'll get like 4 different little items and they're all travel size and they all seem like things you would use. And I am pretty good about only picking up sets that I will use every item from, or at least am very interested in trying every item that's in them. However, they do add up, and generally, though I am interested in trying them and I know I'll use them, they're not things that I am super excited about. I mean, they're not usually those items that I would consider buying by themselves in the full size or even in the mini sizes if they're available, if they weren't in that set. So maybe they aren't worth spending my budget on. And number 6 is very closely related. These are just random drugstore things that I happen to see on sale. You know, you're walking through the aisle at Target and you see that they're clearing out the CoverGirl lipsticks or something. And no, you didn't really need a CoverGirl lipstick. I haven't thought about buying a CoverGirl lipstick in 5 years probably. No, I guess it's been more like 2 years, but I have no interest in these lipsticks, but you know, they're on sale and they're $2 and they're usually $6. So why don't I just look through and maybe pick up 1 or 2 and then I'll know if I like them. That's the exact kind of thinking that is going to absolutely torpedo my budget if I give into it too often, and I need to nip that one in the bud by what I actually want rather than what just appeals in the moment and focus. And now to round out this video, I wanted to go through 3 things that I think are actually going to save me from completely destroying my budget this year. Number 1 is my project pan. I am very motivated to hit most, if not all, of my goals this year as far as my project pan goes. And I don't think I can do that if I'm constantly adding a bunch of new stuff. I will want to try it. I am not someone who is willing to buy something and then tuck it into a drawer for when other things are finished. I want to break into it. I want to use it. The whole reason that I bought it is because I'm excited about it. And that will absolutely get in the way of me finishing my project if I am bringing in too many things. Number 2 is that I don't want my collection to grow. I have to move probably at some point this year, and carting extra stuff around, it just doesn't sound appealing in the slightest. And just overall, I have enough stuff. I don't want to generate more plastic. I don't want to generate more waste, and I don't want to just be wasting my money on things that I don't need and won't really get good use out of. That just seems like a waste overall. And then finally, as I've alluded to several times in this video, there are a couple of nicer things that I want to buy this year, a couple of bigger purchases I want to make. And if I keep sort of nickel and diming myself with these, you know, $3 purchase here, $4 purchase here, it's going to be very hard to make those bigger items happen. Okay, so that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I would love to hear about your budget plans for this year, and if you have similar struggles with any of these items, I would love to commiserate in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!